So, dear friends, at the end of my sharing some insights about the 9-year plan, I promise to offer a few points also about the concept of divine assistance. Let me begin by saying that the existence of a superhuman source of power is an element of belief in all of the religions of the past. For instance, Shintoism, an indigenous religious practice of Japan, has at its core a belief in the mysterious power of the sacred deity, Kami. The general belief that humans benefit from divine support or divine assistance in actions of kindness and humility is emphasized through symbolic stories of the scriptures of the past. These stories are often allegorical and not to be taken literally, but rather as ways by which moral and cultural teachings were transmitted. Otherwise, they can sound like superstition. Baha'u'llah explains that God is the unknowable essence, and no human, no matter how deep a mystic or how accomplished in any of the myriad fields of human endeavor, can fathom the mystery of our Creator. So perfect and comprehensive is God's creation that no mind, no heart, however keen or pure, can ever grasp the nature of the most insignificant aspect of His creation and His bounties and grace. However, in every age and in every cycle, God sheds new light on the realities of all things as a way of helping to advance human understanding and progress, ensuring that humanity is not deprived of God's outpourings of mercy and favor. He does this through those whom we call the manifestations of God. Baha'u'llah, the manifestation of God for this age, the age of collective maturity of mankind, has for the first time in the history of religion shed light on many of the spiritual truths of the world of existence, including on the concept of divine assistance. The Baha'i concept of divine assistance, as explained by Baha'u'llah, is an aspect of what we believe to be the spiritual realities of the universe. It is an essential element of what is at work to enable us to contribute our share to the fulfillment of Baha'u'llah's vision for mankind. It's based on the belief that God is the source of all power, that everything in creation depends on God's assistance for its existence, and that this assistance is not limited to moments of crisis, but is a constant, ongoing presence, acting as a support to all things. Divine assistance, a spiritual truth, is rooted in the belief that the grace of God is transcendent and supernatural. It's a divine power that guides, supports, and protects us, and we can rely on it. An important point about the practical implications of relying on divine assistance is explained by Abdul Baha. In 1912, referring to a sad disaster caused by failure of a modern scientific invention and in which many had lost their lives, the sinking of the Royal Mail steamer Titanic. In one of his talks in the United States, Abdul Baha first expressed his grief for the loss of so many lives, and then said we are living in a day of reliance upon material conditions. But these disasters sometimes take place that men may know that God is the real protector, that the people of the world may turn to God, the one protector. He then added this important point, saying, "Let no one imagine that these words imply that man should not be thorough and careful in his undertakings. God has endowed man with intelligence so that he may safeguard and protect himself. Therefore, he must provide and surround himself with all that scientific skill can produce. He must be deliberate, thoughtful, and thorough in his purposes. Yet, withal, let him rely upon God and consider God as the one keeper." The concept of turning to a source of power higher than oneself is also part of the world of creation. Think of the example of a plant and how it has all that it needs to grow already inherent in its own reality, but that it requires the presence of light for the process of photosynthesis to take place, thereby enabling it to live, to grow, and thrive. It is therefore as natural a process for the plant to turn towards the source of light as it is for humans to turn towards the source of divine light, our Creator, to receive sustenance and ability to do what is inherent in us. This is referred to as the power of divine assistance. As Baha'is, we should seek divine assistance in all aspects of our lives and combine it with our own exertions and efforts. We can seek divine assistance not only for our protection, but also for our health, for our educational endeavors, for our children, for the flourishing of our family life, for our business ventures, and of course, for more effectiveness in our services to humanity and to the faith. The Universal House of Justice says, "It behooveth the people of Baha to place at all times their entire trust in the power of divine assistance." We do so because, again in the words of the Universal House of Justice, Baha'is believe that God has revealed the purpose of life, has shown us how to attain it, has provided the ways in which we can work together, and beyond that, has given mankind the assurance both of continuing divine guidance and of divine assistance. As people learn and follow these teachings, their efforts will produce durable results. The Baha'i concept of divine assistance, although fundamentally spiritual in nature, does have similarities with certain scientific principles. Baha'u'llah's emphatic promise is, and I quote, "We behold you from our realm of glory, and shall aid whosoever will arise for the triumph of our cause with the hosts of the conquerors on high and a company of our favored angels." He further assures us that God, and I quote, has extended assistance to every wayfarer, has graciously responded to every petitioner, and granted admittance to every seeker after truth. Such statements reflect the consistency of God's promise, akin to how physical laws operate consistently. The operation of divine assistance is often described as conditional upon certain human actions and attitudes. Conditions of divine assistance include adhering to the principle of unity and striving sacrificially. Abdul Baha says, "The more they exert effort to achieve unity, the more they will witness the tokens of divine assistance. And again he says, as soon as a soul urgeth the steed of high endeavors into the field of sacrifice, these heavenly forces, the divine assistance, will rush forth to his aid and will render him assistance and support. Another condition is constant engagement in teaching work. He says, O ye servants of the blessed beauty, it is clear that in this day confirmations from the unseen world are encompassing all those who deliver the divine message. Should the work of teaching lapse, these confirmations would be entirely cut off, since it is impossible for the loved ones of God to receive assistance unless they teach. Although divine assistance is always available to everyone, human effort and action are also required to receive it and to benefit from it. Since we are given free will, this choice of action determines how, when, and to what extent will we receive divine assistance, unless, of course, we receive it by the grace of God. In other words, divine assistance is not purely a passive gift, but engagement and action are required on our part. Not only must we make efforts to live our lives in accordance with the principles of the faith, but also to be open to receiving divine assistance. To an individual seeking assistance, the House of Justice says, beyond any professional assistance available to you is, of course, the assistance of God, and that assistance one receives from the faith through prayer, teaching, regular study of the writings, obeying the ordinances of the faith, and steadfast perseverance in upholding his covenant. Baha'u'llah teaches that God's assistance is always available, but that human beings must be receptive to it, cultivating sincerity, humility, and trust in God. The Training Institute and engagement in the Institute process are effective instruments that help to foster the spiritual conditions that attract the power of divine assistance to the protagonists of the divine plan. Divine assistance is deeply connected to divine guidance. Divine guidance is a light that illuminates the heart and mind, and this light is received more abundantly when individuals strive to purify themselves and sincerely seek divine help. The key point is to understand that receiving divine assistance is intertwined with spiritual practices such as prayer, meditations, the reading of the writings every morning and evening, and service to the faith and to others that enable individuals to draw closer to God. This conditional availability of divine assistance is similar to how in science specific results or phenomena depend on certain variable and conditions. For example, a chemical reaction only happens when specific elements are combined. On the empirical aspect of experiencing divine assistance, although this assistance is not measurable in the same way as in material science, Baha'i teaching suggests that individuals can witness and experience the effects of divine assistance. The House of Justice, in a letter written in 2005 about the new series of divine plans, notes that seeing the possibilities and opportunities before them with the new eyes, they, the protagonists of the plan, witness firsthand the power of divine assistance as they strive to put into practice what they are learning and achieve results far exceeding their expectations. This direct engagement with divine promises implies that individuals can witness the result of divine assistance through their actions and their reliance on God's guidance, akin to how scientific experimentation is able to confirm scientific hypotheses. Baha'i teachings educate us for two worlds, the worlds of matter and the world of spirit. That is the world seen around us and the world unseen. The teachings describe the physical realm as the world of nature and the spiritual realm in terms of laws that govern relationships, relations between God and humanity and between humans. Abdul Baha tells us that the earthly realm is the mirror of the heavenly kingdom, and that the material world is in accordance with the spiritual world. Additionally, the Baha'i writings describe science as, and I quote, the discoverer of realities, and explains that science is of two kinds, material and spiritual. Material science is the investigation of natural phenomena. Divine science is the discovery and realization of spiritual verities. The teachings further emphasize that humanity must acquire both forms because material and spiritual science are the two wings of human uplift and attainment. Both are necessary. The spiritual laws, though not scientifically observable in the same way as physical laws, are seen as equally reliable because the principles of the spiritual world function consistently and universally. We experience, regardless of time or place, the effects of both material and spiritual laws, and we are able to observe their results. In that sense, therefore, spiritual laws have similarities with the natural laws. Divine assistance can be said to be part of divine science, the science of the world unseen. But how does divine assistance work? Baha'i history suggests that it works in numerous ways. In one of Baha'u'llah's meditation, the manifestation of God teaches us to pray and seek God's assistance so that the noise and attractions of this world will be powerless to distract us from turning unto God and will fail to shake our constancy in His faith. Another way that it works is this. We know that each one of us is called upon to try to set such an example in our personal lives and conduct that others will feel impelled to embrace a faith that reforms human character. However, we also know that unfortunately, not everyone can easily achieve the victory over self. But the beloved guardian advises us to supplicate Baha'u'llah to assist us to overcome the failings of our own characters and also exert our own willpower in mastering ourselves. In another instance, in a letter dated 18th of March 1950 and written on his behalf to an individual, the guardian suggests that in addition to your usual teaching work, you make a special point of praying ardently, not only for success in general, but that God may send to you the souls that are ready. There are such souls in every city, but to find them and make the right contact is not easy. Divine assistance can inspire us to creativity, to pursue success, to face any hardship with radiance, and to sacrifice comfort and ease in the path of service. It brings joy and bestows individuals with greater courage, perseverance, and patience. It instills in us the fortitude to overcome our limitations. It opens doors previously closed to us. The power of divine assistance can create a practical force within individuals, empowering them to live according to the divine will, to fulfill their potential, and to persevere in carrying out insurmountable tasks in the path of contribution to the betterment of the world. In a letter written on behalf of Shoghi Effendi to a Baha'i study group, we read, "The guardian will pray for the quickening of your souls, the unfolding of the divine mysteries, and the blessings of the Holy Spirit." With a deeper study of the revelation, we come to see that the Baha'i writings stress that divine assistance enables individuals to overcome their lower nature, their selfish tendencies, weaknesses, inner struggles, and limitations. It fosters in us a deeper understanding of life on this planet. It is through the power of this assistance that human beings can embody virtues such as love, compassion, patience, generosity, forgiveness, and perseverance in seeking to contribute to the betterment of society. Through the power of divine assistance, combined with human effort, individuals can fulfill their highest potential, which ultimately leads to personal and collective transformation. Divine assistance can also come in forms not immediately understood or recognized as assistance. This idea is echoed in Baha'i writings that sometimes indicate that a trial or a hardship may appear to be a setback, but in reality can be a means through which divine assistance works towards purifying one's soul and enabling one's spiritual growth. In the words of the Universal House of Justice, we earn our victories through test and trial. In this context, we will no doubt be able to better understand Baha'u'llah's statements that blessed is he who has borne manifold hardships for the sake of my name. What Baha'u'llah wants us to achieve for ourselves and for humanity is very great. We also know that the power of human beings is inherently limited and the power of divine assistance is unlimited. Divine assistance enables individuals to transcend their limitation and is thus an essential force that aids humanity in its individual and collective spiritual and social evolution. Humanity can only progress by receiving the power of divine assistance. It is in this light that it becomes clear that the concept of divine assistance, as set in the Baha'i writings, is a source of strength and empowerment to enable individuals to develop their God-given capacities so as to be more effective protagonists of the divine plan, to achieve whatever goals they set for themselves as they seek to further align their lives with the will of God for this age. The more we seek this divine assistance and the more we strive to fulfill the conditions for it, the more we will receive it and the more we can achieve in life. In such a state of mind, the individual will not set goals that he or she alone can achieve. Rather, they will set goals that can be achieved with the help of divine assistance. Since the mindset will be this: if I am busy with my work and with the other myriad daily affairs of this world, and cannot find adequate quality time to serve the faith, let there be no doubt that if I make sincere efforts to make changes in my life so as to find time for service, divine assistance will come to my aid. If I feel inadequate to teach the faith, or if I am concerned that by talking about the faith I will not appear to be in conformity with those all around me, trusting in divine assistance will help me overcome my sense of inadequacy and allay my various concerns. If I want to engage in activities to teach the faith but become distracted by other matters, or am hampered by a lack of will or discipline, let me be confident that prayer and efforts to overcome these obstacles will attract divine assistance.